guys, so a couple of things I've done is actually finish some stuff. I focused a lot of these when I was at the very end of my pregnancy and the beginning of maternity leave. This is actually my maternity leave piece, as I call it, because this is what I stitched on most of the time. It was easy because once I stitched the outline of things, which is kind of how I went about it, I just filled in the color. So this is by Emma Congdon, known as Stitchrovia. She is one of my favorite designers, and it was in a recent issue of Cross Stitch Crazy. If you want the number, I'll pop it somewhere on the screen. It's Shoot for the Moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I did it on 18 count navy Aida, and I think I'm gonna just finish it as a canvas finish, which is what's suggested in the actual magazine article. So right here it's supposed to say "and," but I've seen this quote a lot, and oh sorry, my finger was in the way there, and I've never seen it with an "and," so it just looks so strange to me. So I decided to replace it with one of these guys. I basically turned the chart upside down and stitched it the other way, and then added a little sparklies there. I used all the charted 4 colors except for this here, because when I originally saw the picture it looked like a minty green to me, and it turns out it was a blue color, so I just decided to stitch it in minty green because I kind of had already envisioned it that way. But it's very close to the to how it looks, so it's not too different. But that's basically it. So I really enjoyed that a lot. Right now I'm just using hangers to kind of display my finishes because I just haven't had time and funds to finish anything. So that's that one. And the other one that I recently finished that I have available to show you is also by Emma Congdon, Stitchrovia, and it's her quotes to live by. This was a Sal last year? I'm pretty sure it was last year. Oh gosh, now I don't remember. But sorry, it's a little big. So this was a Sal that started in February and ended, and it was 2017 actually, and it ended in September of last year as well. I did most of it on time up to here, so I started it late, but I managed to do the whole border, the first quote up to the 5th quote. So the quotes to live by in most of the border: be yourself, have patience in order to be irreplaceable, learn, and hold, as I call them. I usually use a little word as the quote. And then things went kind of crazy with getting pregnant and having the baby, and yeah, so it took a long time to finish, but I did eventually finish it. This uses very little of the charted colors. These blues are charted. Now looking back on it, had I known I was going to make all these changes, I might have gone with probably still blues, but something a little bit brighter. But what's done is done, and I wasn't going to rip it out. So it works out. This is pink, and it was too much pink for me. I didn't like it. So I decided to do purple, and if I had to choose, I would probably make these like a tealy blue to make it a little more standing out. Sorry, I keep getting notifications on my phone. I'm trying to wish them away. The Live By is close to the original colors. It was in more salmony pink, which I didn't like, and I wanted it to kind of work better with the purple, so I changed it to more rosy pinks. And this one, it's pretty similar to the original one, except for the yourself being in the variegated thread and this being in purple. So then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do every single word, like main word, in variegated thread, and that's how this monster was born. I have about half of the conversion up on Stitch Mania. I have it written down, but it was in a bunch of little slips of paper. So I have to get it together and update that, and maybe like post it on the comments of the post, and it'll up it back up to the top. And eventually when it's ready, maybe have the file saved on my computer, and if you're interested, you could always message me or something. I really don't care if you used some or all of the conversion. I would appreciate it if you credited me. That would be nice. I thought I saw someone use these colors, like the purple and the pink, and I was like, I wonder if they just had the same thing as me. I didn't see them mention anything, but I wasn't gonna make a big deal about it. But you know, if I do post this and you use it, I would appreciate a mention. I mean, I'm not charging you or anything, it's just a conversion, but it was a lot of work. So you know, it's just a little nice to you know, just share like, oh, I got this idea from this person, you know. So yeah, that's that. I do have another finish, but it's not here. It is at my LNS at the moment, so I'll share that when it's done. That's all I have for you right now, and I'll see you in the next clip. Bye! I am currently working on my Magical Creatures calendar. This is by Clouds Factory, and I'm working on the November block, or I'm just calling it the fairy block because I'm not putting any months on it or anything. I'm just picking flosses off my leftover kit flosses. I stick them in a bag, and I have a giant Ziploc bag of floss. I gotta figure out a way to organize that better. But yeah, I'm gonna do that and finish it up, and it's gonna go in the nursery on the rocking chair. As a matter of fact, my mom is going to FFO it as a rocking chair cover. So I'm not sure how she's gonna do that. She's got the idea. I don't know if she's gonna do like a blanket that drapes over or something that slips over it, but yeah, she asked me for a cross stitch piece, and I was very honored. She was like, oh, you know, do you have anything cross stitchy I can incorporate? And I'm like, I'll find something. And I realized I don't have that much finished, and I'm like, this is pretty close to being done. It would work awesome. It's nice and big. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Hey guys, back. I don't even know if I set the date yesterday. Yesterday was July 31st, and today is August 1st, 2018. So I am working on my fairy block still, and yeah, I'm trying to really finish this up. My mom was asking about it today, because we're really working on things for Isabella's nursery, so I really want to get this done, and I want to be able to move on to my other projects. So I don't know if I mentioned this in the other clip, and I get the feeling you're going to hear that a lot, because I don't know how often I'm going to be able to record these, or how much time in between. So it might be a lot, it might be a little, and I don't remember if I mentioned something or not, so I'm sorry if they do get repetitive, especially if I happen to be talking about the same project. But the way I go about little things like this is I have a big old bag of leftover kit floss. Now, I don't have a ton of kits anymore, except for Mill Hill kits, and I do like a lot of those, so I guess technically I have floss from that. But I mean, like, I did a few Dimensions kits, and you can have a ton of floss left over. I think I have maybe 3 or 4 Dimensions kits left that I haven't destashed. There are some I'm interested in, but I just don't want to purchase them at this time. 1, budget reasons, and 2, I'm trying to really whip down and then look into doing other projects in the future. And there is a fuzzy on my project, so I did a little unpicking just now. Anyway, so I just take that floss and I eyeball the chart, and I pick a close color. Or I change it completely if that's something I choose to do. With this block, I kind of did that a little bit. Like this fairy, this is supposed to be white and blue, and I just thought these colors worked better. Her wings are supposed to be that purple. This isn't the purple charted, but it's close. So it's supposed to be the same color that's used for this here, and I just thought that'd be weird, so I didn't do that. And these, I just kind of closely matched it to the picture because I did happen to like those colors. So the wings, I also, not only did I change the color, but I changed the shape a little bit. They're a little bit more round, and they were smaller, and I just thought they didn't look right. So I kind of, I don't know, I changed them up a little bit, and that's actually a minty green, but it looks very blue. You can see here still a purple fuzzy because I am picked here because I edited the wings, it was running into this wing, so I cut essentially stitches that were here, and changed the shape a little bit here. So this was also a little bit rounded, and I just made it point towards the bottom, and I think it looks just fine. I also edited this a little bit. It had like white and then like these sort of stripes, blue stripes, and I'm like, that looks weird. So I just ignored the parts that went up and kept this down here because I guess it kind of looks like pockets. I don't know. I'm actually a big fan of Clouds Factory. I think their stuff is really cute. I like it a bit more than Frosted Pumpkin. but it depends on the style. I mean, with Frosted Pumpkin, it varies a little bit with certain patterns. Some of their stuff is super cute to me, and some of the stuff to me is like, I don't know. I kind of like their new people a little bit better instead of these little like round people with no arms. They're still cute, but I just think certain characters work better this way, and certain characters work better with the arms and legs. So I guess it depends on what I'm stitching. But anyway, I'm excited to be done with this. I'm gonna kind of show you what it looks like, but it's the pattern, so I can't stay for too long. So I'm not going to do these leaves or snowflakes. I'm just going to make some sparkly background bits with metallic thread. And I'm omitting this because I just don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it's ground or water and it's reflecting what's up here. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know. Also, this was probably my least favorite block. Not that it's a bad block, but when I look at the whole thing, it's the one that appealed to me the least. Aside from the satyr block, but I think what I did with it made it a lot better. Like, I just thought there was so much red and brown going on. Like, the birds were also red and brown, and I'm just like, was done with that. So once I changed them to bluebirds, blue jays, essentially, it was a lot better. But yeah, so my goal is to finish this today and finish the December or Abominable Snowman block within the next few days, to give this to my mom so she can finish it up within like the next week or so. But I will check back in with you later, and yeah, happy stitching. Well, hello, it's me again, and it's still August 1st here. I finished the November block, which is these fairies. As I mentioned in my previous clip, this is probably my least favorite block of the sampler. I know I've said this already, but this is the Magical Creatures Calendar by Clouds Factory. This was a SAL, I believe it was the 2014 SAL, possibly the 2015, not 100% sure on that one, but it was definitely one of those 2 years. So, it's not that I have anything against fairies. Fairies are cool, but for some reason, I don't think it worked in this section of the sampler. To me, it kind of felt like they got to the November block and they're like, oh, what are we gonna put here? And somebody over in the other corner was like, how about a fairy? And then they went with it. But it just didn't make sense. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why. The fairies looked weird to me. I don't know what this is. Like, is this crisscross applesauce? I don't know what that is. Is that their hands? And then, like, this is the same color as her hair. So, is that, like, hair? Or is she wearing, like, gloves and shoes that are the same color? I don't see what it is. So, it confuses me. And then this, same thing here. This was charted to be blue. But not the blue of her hair. And not the blue of this was supposed to be blue, and I did it in pink just because I wanted to change it up. So I'm like, what is it? Is it gloves? Is it a stool? I don't get it. So that threw me off. Then they had like leaves here and then snowflakes here, which I do get that. Clearly they were going for like fall fairy to like winter fairy because November. So like it was shifting, but I mean technically November is just fall or autumn still. Like winter is really December, January, February for like calendar wise, but I guess if you think about weather wise, where it is cold, it really starts in November. So like a lot of people associate November with winter, even though it might not technically be winter. So yeah. Then the other thing I didn't like was there was this like thing over here that kind of looked like the shape of the grass or this ground here, but it was like green and orange and then like white, but then green and orange again over here. So I'm like, I maybe it was like water reflecting the fairies, but then I'm like, but then why is this one green and orange? This is supposed to be white. Why? By the way, there's so much white going on, I didn't want to put any more white, so that I made it this yellow color. And also I included some metallic by doing these stars. Here there were originally leaves, and then here there were snowflakes, and the leaves were pretty cute, but I'm like, if I don't do the snowflakes, the leaves are going to look kind of out of place, and I really didn't want to do the snowflakes because there's so much snow in the next block, and I thought it was going to be too much white going on, and I just didn't want to do any more snowflakes. Same thing with the witch block, actually. I think they were supposed to be stars, but they look the same as the snowflakes, so I'm like, is it like snowing in the Halloween block, but then it's also snowing down here, then there's leaves it just looked really scatterbrained to me. Maybe if they placed the fairy somewhere else, it would have looked better, but they didn't. And to me, they just seem kind of hodgepodge and not the best. I did the best I could by making them interesting by changing the colors and changing the shape of the wings a little bit. And I think it does look better. It appeals to me a little more, but it's probably still my least favorite block. I did mention I wasn't originally too drawn by the satyr block. I think it was because there was too much brown and red, but I did change the birds to being brown, from brown and red to bluebirds or blue jays, so that helped. Also, this is the September block, even though I'm not using the month titles. It bummed me out that my birthday month had a satyr in it. I'm like, I would have rather the mermaid be there, or like the dragons. Dragons is probably my favorite block. I will show this whole piece. It's just easier right now than taking it apart. Besides, I'm almost done, so I kind of want to show it when it's all done. But yeah, so I'm happy with how I made it work for me. But honestly, I was kind of like glad to see this be done. The other thing I did, if you probably noticed, is their skin tones. The whole pattern is all charted for like the same 2 peachy skin tones. I know this is widely talked about, but there's not a lot of diversity in the cross-stitch design world. There are some people that seem to focus on making culturally diverse cross stitch, but if you're not already known for culturally diverse cross stitch, it's like generic white chicks. So it's like, come on, that's not realistic. It's just not. So I wanted this to be like kind of showcase different stuff. So like the very first guy is like yellow, like white but yellow undertone. Then there's 3 white, like different kinds of white, like there's a really peachy one, a really pinky one, like a paler one, and a darker one. And then down here I really start to get into the darker skin tones. So this I'm a little bummed out about, because it just looks like it was a shade lighter than this on the bobbin, and then I put it, you know, I stitched it in and it just looks like another white chick. But it's 1/1. I know, why did I do Clouds Factory 1/1? When I started this piece, I hadn't done anything else 1/1, and I had a nice big fancy lady coming up in my Stitchy travels, or Stitchy journey, adventure, whatever you want to call it, when you're first trying out things that you haven't tried before. And I just did not want to like commit to doing skin 1/1 if I was gonna hate it. So I'm like, I'll do it on this piece. It'll go by quick, especially because like each block is gonna be done in its own month, or even longer. Even at that point, I knew that I might not keep up with the month-to-month thing, which I didn't. I did till like June of this owl, and then like I let the other half go. But I liked it, and then at this point, like when I was stitching this guy, I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Like, I just want to get this thing done. It would be so quick if I'd done skin 2/2, and it doesn't need to be 1/1. Yeah, I'm just glad that these were the last ones. The next character, even though technically he has a face, he's the Abominable Snowman, so it's like furry, so I'm just gonna do it 2/2. I think it'll be fine, and it'll work better with that particular block anyway. But yeah, so he doesn't look as, you know, dark as I'd like, and stitching over the thread would make it look too bulky. I'm not ripping out the 1/1, so whatever, it's fine. But I just wanted to depict a little bit of variety, because there is very few pieces that do. Especially like with Clouds Factory, unless they are trying to depict a TV show character or like a person in history or something, they seem to just go with the general white skin tone, or like peachy pink skin tone, and not a diverse skin tone. So I mean, they have been releasing pieces that specifically reflect a person in history or society, or a certain culture, so obviously those like have to work. But if not, like the default isn't to be culturally diverse. So, you know, I threw it in there, especially now that this piece has a purpose. When I started stitching it, I just stitched it because it was cute. And now it's going to go in my daughter's nursery. And my mom asked me about it today, and I'm like, I'm on the last one. I promise I'll be done soon. My goal is to get it done within the next 2 days. The other thing that made this a little bit fun is that Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff is having a sale. It's not her birthday style, but her like anniversary style for Flosstube. She's been on it for 5 years. She's one of the original people that started creating videos before it even had a name. And I did not sign up because I have a newborn. Well, she's not really newborn anymore. She's like 6 months old. Is that not a newborn? No, it's like a 6-month-old. But, you know, she's still a little one. So I can't really, like, commit to anything like that. But she posted how amused she was that she saw a lot of posts that said, in true Jessie fashion. If you aren't aware, Jessie has quite a way with words. She loves stories and reading, and she's very good at telling stories, especially about her pieces. She finds ways to make them work for Sal's, or she comes up with stories, like even if they're not part of a Sal, she comes up with the stories for like things she stitches. So yeah, so it was really cute because a lot of people were like basically saying like, this is really a bit of a stretch and doesn't fit at all, but this is how I made it fit. So the theme was D for Jessie Marie Does. And because it's July 31st, Harry Potter's birthday, she said if it's Harry Potter related, you can somehow make it work. So I was up because babies eat at night, and so it was like, I don't know, some wee hour in the morning. I was, you know, I just put her back to bed after feeding her, and I'm like, you know what, this is amusing, and I have seen people do that. I'm gonna somehow make what I'm working on fit. I did preface by saying technically I didn't sign up for this because in Isabella Land there's no Sal's. It's just stitch when you can. But I'm gonna make it work. So this is the Magical Creatures calendar and fairy block. So this is a tapestry that lies in Hogwarts Castle near the library. It is Hagrid's favorite piece of art in Hogwarts. Why? Because he loves magical creatures. As we know, he is now the Care of Magical Creatures professor, and he loves visiting this artwork because all the different creatures have interesting stories to tell. Just about their kind, about where they've traveled, and Hagrid, as a magical creature lover, is very interested. He is most fond of Mother Dragon and her hatchling, which I will briefly show, because he loves dragons, and they remind him of, okay, I'll have to take both clips off, of his Norbert. Well, we all found out that really she was Norberta, but to him, Codswallop, it's always Norbert, and forgive me, I'm not British, so I don't know if I said that right. But there's Mother Dragon and her hatchling. So he loves hearing stories from them. So going back to this, he is always fond of the, shall we say, more dangerous type of creatures, but they're not really dangerous, as Hagrid says, they're just misunderstood. And such are doxies. D. A doxy should be in this section of the tapestry, but it is not. Why? Because witches and wizards do not understand. They're just mischievous little things that want to have fun. They're not really dangerous. I mean, in reality, they're got an extra pair of arms and an extra pair of legs, and they're very, very hairy, and they have these shiny beetle-like wings, and really, they bite other creatures and are venomous, and you do need an antidote if you are bitten. Although they're not extremely dangerous, and any competent witch or wizard should be able to cope, you still have to watch out for them. They are still labeled XXX by the Ministry of Magic, so not completely innocent. So he has been trying to convince Dumbledore for decades that, you know, he just needs a doxy added to this magical tapestry so that they can share their true stories as well. And he has even appealed to the Wizengamot through Dumbledore's portrait, but they do not listen. So although he loves this tapestry and visits it often, he is hoping to one day see a doxy in this section of the tapestry. Now I do realize that technically the doxy isn't visible, but because doxies are often called biting fairies, and these is the fairy section, it does fit into the D category for Jessie Marie Does Stuff Anniversary Sale. So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'll see you soon, I hope, to show you the final piece. Bye! Quick tip, everybody. If you are working on a piece and you think you might need another length, but you think that you might also use what you have, measure it out and then just hold it. I totally did this with the previous color I was using, and I cut it, and you would know it, I eked out those last few stitches, which is an awesome feeling because you're like, yes, I don't need to cut floss for like 2 stitches. But then I had this like strand of floss left over, which isn't the hugest deal in the world, but it's nice to not have it pre-cut because sometimes it gets a little bit like frayed and it's just not as nice. So yeah, I actually am not going to need this, so I'm going to wind that back up. Yep, good tip there for you guys. Alright, talk to you later. Bye. Hey y'all, I hope you are enjoying this vlog style update. It's definitely so much easier than trying to sit down for an hour or more, because the way I talk, and sometimes I have to, you know, redo things with the dogs, and now with a baby, like it just wouldn't work. So I kind of really like this. Of course I look very drab most of the time, but hey, it's real life, right? I mean, you know, like I'm wearing clothes, so we're good, right? Anyway, I don't know if I've mentioned this enough, because I really started liking her designs after I started making a little bit less videos, but I love Emma Cogden. She is known as Stitch Rovia on her Etsy shop, but whenever she's published in a magazine, which she does a lot, which is great, she just is Emma Cogden. She designs a lot for Cross Stitch Crazy. I've seen her designs in Cross Stitcher magazine as well. Maybe there's another, but I think those are the main two. And there's been a couple times where just Cross Stitch, which I believe is a US magazine, but as far as I know, we don't have too many, so you really, she mostly is published in UK magazines, and she is from the UK anyway, so even if she, you know, were, you know, picking a magazine, like, it makes sense that she's in UK magazines, but either way, those... Okay, so not sure where that cut off, but I got a call, so that is one downside, as I mentioned, of filming on my phone, but it is also a lot easier. So I was mentioning I really like Emma Cogden, and she designs a lot for magazines, and she has been killing it lately with the Cross Stitch Crazy designs. Like, I think in the last 3 episodes there's definitely been something, maybe more, I don't know, but I have loved every single one. The first one was Shoot for the Moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Somebody put up a sal for that, and I totally jumped on that. Then the Strike a Balance. Oh, I did finish that, which I showed earlier in this video, so you've seen it already. Strike a Balance, which I will show at some point, but it's basically a yin and yang, and it's like a mountain landscape on one side and kind of like an ocean landscape on the other, and it's, I think she called it Strike a Balance. So I am doing that as well. I thought about selling it with somebody. A couple people were a little bit overwhelmed with their WIP, so they said maybe in the future. Then somebody else put up a sale, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll jump on that sale because, like, I love this, and I got a lot of it done. And I mean, I would continue to get a lot of it done, but there are a lot of other pieces I want to do. There's a couple I want to finish for my daughter this year. One you've seen, which is the Magical Creatures calendar. I am this close to being done, so hopefully this, or like the next clip or the one after, will be showing you that finish. And I also need to work on her stocking. I have a little bit more time. It is a needlepoint stocking, so it should go a little bit faster because there's no like specialty stitches. It's just the general like half stitch type needlepoint stitch. I'm not saying it's not going to take a while, but it will go a bit faster than a cross stitch stocking would have. So hopefully that will help. And I did not pick that to be lazy. I picked it because my family is huge. Well, really my husband's family. My family's huge too, and we celebrate Christmas here usually with my husband's family, and his family's huge, and they all have a stocking, and there's only a limited amount of stocking designs out there by Dimensions or Designworks, which is basically what it has been stitched. So I needed to find a different design that I liked and that my husband liked, which that made it a bit challenging because there's some I liked and he's like, eh. So I showed him some of the needlepoint ones, and he picked one that I liked as well, so that's why we went with that. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that the last why can't I think of the word, release of the Cross Stitch magazine, which is the October one, issue of the magazine, which is the October 2018 one, has a beautiful Emma Cogden piece. Not what you normally think of when it comes to her. She does the fancy fonts, but she's done a lot of other pieces, and I feel like she's starting to go into that style more, which I like. I mean, hopefully she'll do both, because I really like the lettering one as well. And it's on Black Ada, so I mean, I know, but it kind of has to be for it to work. And it's purples and blues and teals and pinks, and it's just gorgeousness. It's basically representing the Northern Lights. So I posted it on Instagram, and I'm like, y'all, she's done it again. Gonna have to do this sometime soon. A few people commented like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I accidentally enabled somebody else that's like, I gotta get that. Yeah, so sorry, not sorry for that, but it's just so pretty. It's so pretty. A few of my Insta Stitchy friends, well, one is a real life / Insta Stitchy friend, EJ Creates and Stitchy Gem, sorry, are creating this SAL. We're gonna do it October 6th, so you have some time to either get the digital version or the actual hard copy of the magazine if you're interested. Again, that's the Cross Stitch Crazy October 2018 magazine. It's called, I don't know what it's called now that I think about it, but I will insert a picture of it at the end of this clip so you know what it looks like. And you will need some Black Ada to do it, and obviously the threadless, so you can find that, you know, wherever, you know, in your stash, or if you need to buy it, whatever it happens to be. And we are using the Instagram hashtag, well, I guess it's not an Instagram hashtag, it could be a Facebook hashtag too, Colors of Aurora Sal, which I'm very proud to have come up with, because like I was a little bit later in the whole like, what do you call that, era of like hashtagging everything. Like when I got married, wedding hashtags were not a thing, and it seems like in the last couple of years that's like the biggest thing ever. I guess it makes sense for like your own purpose, like if you're doing a lot of posts for wedding prep and then the actual wedding, and then you want to look back on it. But like, I don't know if other people like follow that aren't like part of your, I don't know, like I understand it in a way, but I also think it's a little weird in a way. No offense to anybody who does that, I don't know. Anyway. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not that big about coming up with hashtags usually, and I'm like, you know, like it just describes what it is, like Clouds Factory Sal, baby girl. But any of these like fancy ones, I'm not very good at. So I'm like, started brainstorming, and I'm like, I mean, I do like language and literature, so another notification, and it totally distracted me. Anyway, I'm like, okay, I will think of something, use my language skills, I don't know. So I came up with Colors of Aurora, and I suggested it, and the girls were like, yeah, that sounds great. So we're doing both the American and the British spelling of the words, or UK spelling. I'm not sure what's the appropriate way to call that, but so Colors, C-O-L-O-R-S, and Colors, C-O-L-O-U-R-S, of Aurora Sal. We'll just use both hashtags. Maybe when I put up the picture, I'll put the hashtags along the bottom so you can see. So feel free to join us. We'll be tracking our progress on Instagram, and if I do happen to do a clip or a video, I'll put it on here too. Anyway, I will end this clip for right now and enjoy the picture, because if you have not seen it already, and these colors are your jam, that's the other thing that caught me. These are like my favorite colors all working together. Here's that picture, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey guys, here it is. I have finished the Magical Creatures Calendar by Clouds Factory. This was a mystery stitch along, I believe 3 or 4 years ago. I didn't do it at that time, or started at that time. I actually started it 2 years after, 1 or 2 years after, depending on when it was released. Adele, the lovely Adele Cat Stitches, had a stitch along, and I did pretty well. I think I got up to July with the stitch along, and then I kind of stopped. So yeah, and then like I picked it up again probably midway through July of this year, and then just banged it out. Mainly because I really wanted to finish it for my daughter's nursery. My mom is actually going to be FFOing this into kind of like a slip-on rocking chair cover thing. So I'm really excited about that. The fabric here is a 32 count Mystic Lugana. I'm pretty sure it's a Lugana by Silk Weavers. As you guys know, they are not the best to purchase from directly, but I got this off of eBay and I've seen it pop up a lot, so it might still be available. If not, I'm sure you could find something similar. So for my border here, I use Mo's Sale Cotton in Pride, and I got probably about halfway to this line here, and I think around July of the original, Adele's original stitch along year, I just decided to finish it all up about halfway through the year. So even though I'd only gotten to this block, I did finish the whole border. So that was really nice, because that would have taken me forever to do without, you know, to finish this now. So one of the crazy things I did is I decided to do skin 1/1. I had not done any skin over 1 when I started this sampler, and I wanted to do it in an upcoming larger stitch, so I'm like, this would be a good chance to give it a go. And I didn't think ahead to how many human or half human characters there were, so it kind of got a little bit tedious around this point here, but it's fine. There were times where I'm like, I'm just gonna do a 2/2, and I'm like, it's just gonna look weird, it's gonna look weird, you got this, and thankfully I did. So we've got, I didn't do the month names, but I do have the order. So January here is a centaur, February is the frog prince, then March was the phoenix, April was the gnome, May was, wait, did I miss a month? Oh my goodness. No, May is the wizard, June are the dragons, July the mermaid, August were the unicorns, September the satyr, October the witch, November the fairies, and December the abominable snowman. So I actually didn't really use the charted 4 colors. I let it guide me, and for a lot of the blocks it's really similar. Like the phoenix is almost identical, the gnome is almost identical, the dragons are practically identical. This one is really close. This one is almost identical. What I did do is I just use like my eye guessing skills. I have a giant bag of leftover floss from kits, or just links that I didn't want to put back onto bobbins, and I used those. So I'm like, I knew that this was a green, so I picked a green from my leftover floss. I didn't specifically go look for a number or anything like that. Of course, I threw in a lot of variegated flosses, as you can see there on the gnome herself and the tree trunk. Here I used a lot on the trees, on the leaves there. I used some variegated flosses for the unicorns. I had a lot of fun with that. The other thing you'll notice is some blocks are a little shinier than others. I threw in some DMC satins. This block is entirely in DMC satin. This block is entirely in DMC satin. Trying to go slow so as not to make you sick. And that block is entirely in DMC satin. I also threw some Mo's Sale Silk here and there. I didn't do entire blocks in it, but I did throw it in. So the witch's face is in a Mo's Silk. The house, that turquoisey blue and purple, are in Mo's Sale Silk. The mermaid's tail and the jellyfish there, as well as the seaweed, is in Mo's Sale Silk. The wizard's robe is in Mo's Sale Silk. The body of the satyr there is in Mo's Sale Silk. Body of the centaur there is in Mo's Sale Silk. So just the scattering, and I try to scatter it. So if like I go back in, you'll see satin, 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 Down here, Mosale, 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 Mosale. So like I didn't want, I mean, here you can't really tell, but if you look at it, you can tell. Some of it is more shiny than others. So I didn't want like one block to be super shiny and the others were not. So that's why I tried to scatter the flosses that weren't cottons throughout the piece, so that it wouldn't like look weird and the eye wouldn't specifically go to one block because it looked different. I also threw in a few metallics here. I did some metallic here. I did metallic here, here, and here, and here, and some metallic up here. So again, here, here, and down here. Nicely scattered, I think. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I made a few changes aside from switching out the flosses. Obviously I didn't include the months. So in places where there'd be like a really obvious spot, I threw in an extra like figure. Like here I threw an extra little flame bit there. Here I think I extended the bookshelf maybe. I think that's what I did for that one. I get the feeling here I extended and added a flask. I can't remember if there were only two. I think there were only 2 flasks and I added a third. Here I added these little sparkly bits. Here, I mean, you can kind of tell it's actually there, but I just kind of left it. I think it'll be fine. Here, I'm not sure if I did anything here, but you can't really tell. Here, I added a few extra wispies. This one you can't really tell. I think I just changed the placement of the bats a little bit. Oh, and I made that piranha plant for Mario because, like, how could I not? Here I talked about this at length already, so I won't go too much into it because I've talked about it in a previous clip. But you can see I added all these little sparkly stars. And here I shifted the snowflakes around a little bit to kind of fill the space a little bit better because the word December would be right there. So yeah, that's it. Oh, and then right at the bottom I wrote Para Isabela, for Isabella. I realized I made these letters a little bit bigger than this one, so I probably will go back and fix it just because I know it's going to bother me. But other than that, it's done. So yay, another whip down. Something awesome to go in my daughter's room. You have no idea how many times I've said in the past year or so, oh, this is going to be for Isabella's room. At this rate, I'm going to be stitching stuff for Isabella for a long time. So we'll see how much of that actually gets stitched. I think once I actually start stitching pieces and like putting them up in the nursery, I'll like make a decision with some of the pieces that I'm like, yeah, this will look cool in the nursery. Obviously I can't put everything in there, so slowly but surely decorating with some cross stitch. I have, I think, 2 cross stitch pieces displayed, with a third one going up soon. Actually 2 more going up soon, and this one would be a third one that would kind of be going up in a way. It's going to go where it's meant to be on the rocking chair. But yeah, so I really need to start putting up cross stitch finishes because I have them, and some of them are even FFO'd and they're still not out. So I really need to do that. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. See you later. Bye. Just wanted to jump on here real quick and show you that I did change it. I did not like that. I started with the letters being 2 blocks in height and this were 1. So I fixed it and I think it looks a lot better now. Also, I forgot to mention originally, I thought about making these trees like a third color of green because I was like, blue trees, what the heck is that? And then I'm like, Curly, no. This is a magical creatures calendar. You just stitched an abominable snowman. I don't think blue trees are that much of a stretch. So I just left them. I thought that was a bit funny that I thought that. Anyway, see you next clip. Bye. Hey guys, so today is Sunday, August 5th, 2018, and I was going to upload all my clips as a vlog today, kind of as a new video, which I haven't done in a while, as you saw that I talked about at the beginning of this video, but I figured I hadn't really shown any projects aside from the sampler that I was working on by Clouds Factory, and I figured I'd show you what I was working on today. So I am working on something some of you may recognize, Goblet Order. Yes, those are Harry Potter titles, or part of Harry Potter titles. So this is actually a pattern that I created a long time ago. I wanted to stitch basically this. For those of you who are Harry Potter fans, you know this already, and you see it, and I think you recognize it. It's been on posters and shirts and the like, but it's kind of like a short way of referring to each of the years or the books in Harry Potter. So instead of saying Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and so on and so forth, you just refer to it as Goblet, Order, Prisoner, Prince, Hallows, one significant word of the title. And I felt like I'd seen the pattern somewhere, but when I was searching, all I found was, yes, the title says this, but in the same font, and it was kind of like a very blocky font, and not really what I was looking for. So because I couldn't find it, I decided to create it. And I actually posted it for the first time a couple years ago, back when one of the Facebook groups that no longer is around held a starting challenge at the beginning of the year. I thought, okay, I'm going to start this. And I posted and I said, here it is. I don't really have a pattern name because I just kind of made this up. And a lot of people, well, a handful of people mentioned that they like it, that it was cool, that they'd be interested in stitching it. And I was like, wow, really? And somebody even mentioned purchasing it, which is something I'd never considered at the time. I was just really starting out in the cross-stitch world myself, so after I really thought about it, I'm like, you know, I could do this. So I worked really hard, harder than I expected, because font isn't as easy as you think it is. Individual letters are fine, but writing out a word and spacing and figure stuff out is a little harder than I expected. One thing I really wanted is I wanted it to line up, and because the words have different lengths, different number of letters in them, and I used different fonts for each one, which is kind of what I really wanted. I wanted each one to be representative, sort of the essence of the book, in a way. I mean, as much as you can gather in a font, you know. But that's what I did. So I did this by hand. I literally printed like graph paper, specifically, you know, 10 by 10 graph paper, and I did it. So that's my pattern there. And I made sure to make the words the same length, and that took a lot, let me tell you. So that was what was challenging. So I am going to be starting an Etsy shop. I do have other ideas for other designs, not just fonts, but I feel like my thoughts are very eclectic in what I want to do. I don't feel like I'm going to have one particular style. I mean, we'll see. Maybe eventually I'll fall into a style, but there's a lot of things that I'm like, I'd really like to see that as a pattern that I probably am going to try and make, and if I'm successful, I'd probably throw it on my Etsy shop. So it might be very varied. But more to that in an upcoming video. I just wanted to kind of show you what I was working on, that I'm excited I'm getting close to being done with it. At first I thought it was going to take forever, but it really stitches up rather fast, as fonts tend to do. The only one that took a little while was this one. Because of all the swirly bits in it, I actually had to do some slight recharting as I was stitching it. I realized it didn't really work. So it's not perfect, but it's the closest to what I had envisioned, so yeah. And I think once I got, like, I knew that was my most ornate one, even though I know Goblet looks pretty ornate, but even so, it's stitched up really fast. This one actually took a lot longer, especially the R's, and of course there were 2 of them. But I was really pleased with how it turned out, and now I feel like it's going pretty quickly. Anyway, it's a bit late, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Probably won't get to it tonight, but hopefully in the next few days, so maybe August 6th or 7th, you'll see this up, and that'll be it for this video, and hopefully I will have another one soon. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a specific time. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm thinking I might try to consolidate the clips weekly or bi-weekly, just because when I did these before, I did do a whole month usually, but it made the video really long, which means the editing process was slightly long. The vlogs don't take me as long to edit as my face-to-face videos did, because most of this I don't really do much editing, unless something like dropped or something. With my face-to-face, there was a lot of things that I ended up cutting out that just didn't work right, or I had to restart, or I coughed, or you know, the dogs barked or whatever. I don't even know if I'm gonna have the chance to do like my videos as I used to for a little while because of my daughter. Like if she gets hungry or tired or she needs to be changed, like there might be a lot of interruptions. Even if my hubby does say, you know, I'll watch her, you'll still be able to hear everything that's going on. So I don't know how much that would work, but I am gonna try and at least do these vlogs so I can kind of get back into the Flosstube world. I feel like so much has happened on it since I've been gone, and I've had a hard time keeping up with it with the baby, and I've slowly been watching videos now, and obviously there's no way to watch everything, but I've tried to watch at least a handful of videos from each person, even if it's just one or two. Anyway, myself, I'm getting pretty tired here, so I will see you soon. Bye.